Well, hello everyone, this is Neil from Edureka and welcome to this session on Power BI Desktop. Now, you must have all heard of Power BI from here and there, and right now it's one of the buzzwords that's happening. So let's try to understand what exactly is Power BI and what makes it stand above the other data visualization tools. So without wasting any time, let's move forward and look at today's agenda. Now, we'll start out by first understanding why do we need Power BI and what exactly is Power BI. Moving on from there, we'll talk on who uses Power BI as well as flow of work in Power BI. Then we'll try to work around with the Power BI desktop where we'll be seeing different visuals and get an insight to Power BI desktop, and then finally we'll be looking at the trends for Power BI at the present. So any doubts with respect to today's agenda? Can I have a quick confirmation in the chat box? Okay, so I've got a confirmation from George, Vasha, Sam, Dave, Hari, Krupa, Sandeep. That's great to see, guys. I hope you guys are excited for the session as much as I am. So let's move forward to the first topic and try to understand why Power BI. Now these are just the major 8 reasons that we have taken into consideration as to why you need to go with Power BI in comparison to other data visualization tools. So talking about the reasons as to why use Power BI, here are some of the 8 reasons as to that. Now let's look at them one by one. We will start off by first looking at the cost factor. Now always before using any tool, the first thing that comes to your mind is how much is it going to cost me and how useful is it. So talking about the cost factor, in comparison to other tools like Tableau, okay, where you need to pay about $1,000 per year for a single user license, that is for your Tableau desktop license. Okay, in comparison to that, in Microsoft BI, all you need to do is pay about $10 a month, and on an annual basis that's somewhere about $120. And even Microsoft is running an offer now where you can get the annual subscription at $100 straightforward. So where does $100 lie and where does $1,000 lie? So you can see the difference itself. It's almost a tenth. And even in terms of capabilities, Power BI is not far behind Tableau as well. Now, in case some of you are not aware, Tableau is one of the most popular data visualization tool in the market at present and is slowly being chased down by Microsoft Power BI. Okay. Now, second major reasons is machine learning capabilities. Now, machine learning is another buzzword in the industry right now, and it's quite growing as well because machine learning in turn actually makes our work quite easier. So again, a lot of research is going into this field right now, and by integrating your Power BI to Microsoft Azure, you can also perform machine learning on Power BI as well. Okay, now you don't need to worry as to how exactly it is done. We will be looking at all the Azure related functionalities in our next session. After that comes mobility. In an age where all of us want things in our handtips. Now, this is not just with respect to our work. We need cricket scores, we need our movie tickets, we need money. Everything needs to be on our handtips at every time. And that's one of the key reasons most mobile applications run today. In that same race, Power BI has also come into it. Power BI has launched its Power BI application both on Android Store as well as iStore, and also have a support for Windows phones as well. So thereby it makes it quite easy for you to have your reports and dashboards available to you on the go itself. Now, if you've actually installed the Power BI application on your phone, you can see a set of sample dashboards and reports which will give you a complete insight as to how a dashboard would look like on the mobile application. Then moving on to your data integration question. Power BI has a lot of APIs which help you integrate your data. This data could be on various files, it could be on various tools, various applications, even could be on various cloud providers. Now, using Power BI's various APIs, you can integrate your data from all these sources and bring it to Power BI for your operations and data visualizations. After that comes customizability. Now, any tool, as long as it's not customizable, would not be something that a user would want to go ahead. Because when you have a restricted set of works that you can perform, then the tool is used only for a specific purpose, thereby restricting the capability of the tool as well. In Power BI, the limitation of customizability is not there at present. Power BI has an open and growing community where newer suggestions are picked on a daily basis, newer ideas are considered, newer options are included, and on a regular basis you get updates with newer modifications as well. So Power BI is one of the most customizable tools in the market at present. Talking about advanced analytics, Power BI has a lot of capabilities in this field. Apart from having its own internal analytical platform, Power BI also supports R scripting, which is one of the most popular language used for analytical purpose. So you can also write your R scripts as well as R visuals can be integrated as part of your reports and dashboards. Now coming down to its user friendliness. If a tool is not user friendly, then the chances are you would not go for that tool. And that is one of the key reasons what made Tableau quite popular. Because Tableau became a tool that was quite easy for anyone to use even though they were not from a technical background. Now, Power BI is something that gives you almost the same feature, but at the same time it also gives opportunity for those who are technically qualified to write queries, to work with the data directly and perform all the operations that they want. So Power BI is a tool that is created for both professionals who are technically qualified as well as non-technical professionals as well. So thereby it reaches a bigger audience as such. Now finally, talking about its integration, Power BI helps you integrate with Cortana. Now Cortana is basically a Microsoft's personal assistant similar to your Siri that you have on the iPhone. So similar to that, you can integrate your Cortana to your Power BI, thereby making it quite easy for you to work with your data and Power BI in itself. So with the integration of Cortana, it becomes quite easy for you to interact with your data as well as the Power BI tool as well. So moving on from here, let's look at some of the key benefits of Power BI. Now, Power BI completely offers you various pre-built dashboards and report solutions for your popular SaaS problems, that is software as solution problems. Okay, so by using these, you can rapidly cut down the time that you need to invest for creating various reports and dashboards as such. Now, talking about your dashboard, once you have integrated your data to your Power BI, then any changes that you perform with that data is almost immediately reflected on your dashboard. So your dashboards are something that gets updated on real-time basis. Now, then comes your question on security and compatibility. So Power BI is a Microsoft product. So thereby in itself, you can understand how secure your connections are going to be. Apart from that, you can also integrate the data that is present on your premise or on cloud as well. This could be across various cloud providers. It could be on Amazon. It could be on Microsoft Azure. You can even have your data present on your Git or GitHub repository from where you can fetch your data. Now, how do we do that? We'll be seeing as part of the next session, but for now, just keep that in mind because it's an important feature. Now, one of the key reasons why Power BI had caught my attention in the early 2016s was because of its growing capabilities to use natural language query. Now, again, what natural language querying does is it simplifies the process of fetching the data wherein you don't have to actually write the complete query. Now, let's say you want to identify the most selling store from about 50 stores that you have. So again, you need to see the number of sales. So all you need to do is this use a service of Power BI, that is Power BI Q&A, wherein you can just write which is the most selling store and it will directly convert this to a query, process this and then give you a report that is in form of a visual which store sells how much in a corresponding order. So thereby it again makes it quite easy for anyone to work around. Now, let's say you are working with Microsoft products. It could be Azure, it could be Microsoft Office and so forth. Using Power BI, you can integrate all your data that are present across all these Microsoft products and work with them on Power BI as well. So integration with respect to Microsoft product is already done. So that's something that is off your checklist as well. Finally, talking about deployment and configurability of Power BI, Power BI has one of the fastest rates for deployment of your dashboards and visuals. Apart from that, let's say you need to configure Power BI as part of your existing infrastructure, then it's quite easy. Power BI in itself supports hybrid configuration and can easily integrate with your existing infrastructure as well. So I hope you guys are clear with respect to why Power BI stands out with respect to the other data visualization tools. Okay, that's great. So now that I've got a confirmation from everyone, let's move forward to discuss what exactly is Power BI. Now, talking about Power BI basically is a cloud-based business intelligence tool. Now, apart from helping you create interactive data visuals, it is also a self-service business intelligence tool. But again, then you might be wondering what exactly is a self-service business intelligence tool. So let me give you some insight with respect to that. Now, talking about self-service business intelligence, this is basically an approach to data analytics, wherein the business users can filter, segment and analyze their data without the in-depth technical knowledge that they need. So this basically means that you don't need to have the statistical knowledge or the business intelligence understanding or data mining process knowledge to work on the business intelligence aspect. Now, apart from that, your Power BI basically is a collection of various softwares, applications, connectors, which again come together to help you integrate your data into a coherent format from which you can actually create visually immersive and interactive insights as such. So we've already talked about how your Power BI works on a real-time basis, as well as we'll be seeing how interactive the dashboard is, and we'll be seeing as to how beautifully it can be represented as well. Okay, so any doubts with respect to what is Power BI? Okay, so Varsha has a question. Varsha has asked me if Power BI can replace Microsoft BI. Okay, Varsha, that is a very good question that you've brought up. Since both of them are Microsoft product, it's quite understandable if you have this doubt. So to clear your doubt as such, no, Power BI cannot replace your Microsoft Business Intelligence. Now, that's the straightforward answer to it. But to give you a better understanding to say, now Microsoft BI or your SQL Server tools basically help you perform a lot of operation. Starting from data integration, data warehouse creation, creation of cubes, data analytics, as well as data visualization. So that is a complete package that helps you do all the three necessary aspects of a business intelligence solution. But when you talk about Power BI, although Power BI helps you with respect to data integration and data processing, but it mainly revolves around data visualization aspect as such. So it's mainly upscaling for those who have been working with Microsoft Excel. For them, it gives them a lot more to work on as well as represent with. So does that answer your question, Varsha? That's great. So moving forward, let's try to understand who uses Power BI in the industry. Now there are mainly four domains of professionals who use Microsoft Power BI. First comes developers. Now for developers, in terms of visualization, their data is mainly on a small scale. So for visualizing of this amount of data, Power BI definitely is one of the most helpful. Again, as we have already talked about, people working with Excel, for them Power BI provides a lot of ground to visualize on. So IT professionals is quite a general term here. Now it basically refers to the professionals who are working as a managerial level or higher up. So people who are working on the business side of the industry, for them Power BI definitely is a tool that they need to have. Again, when you come to subject matter experts, professionals who are experts in their domain, for them with respect to the visualization aspect where they need to create various charts, various graphs, Power BI definitely is helpful for them as well. Apart from that, we've also seen a steady growth in the number of business analysts who use Power BI. Now, what you need to understand is that these are not the only people working on Power BI. These are just the majority of the population who use Power BI. But Power BI is a tool that can be used by anyone and everyone as such. So you don't need to have any previous knowledge to start working with Power BI. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. But before we actually start working on Power BI, let's just try to understand the flow of work with Power BI. So again, when we talk about the flow of work in Power BI, we're just talking about the generic idea of based on which the Power BI was created. Now, starting off, you always begin by creating your Power BI reports as well as visuals on the Power BI desktop. Now, this is something that is majorly done by the developers and business analysts. So once you create your visuals, you then go on to publish it onto your Power BI service. Now, your Power BI service is basically an online cloud-based service run by Microsoft, wherein all the reports and dashboards that you create on Power BI desktop can be published and viewed. Now, once you have published your report onto the Power BI service, then you can go on to share it to anyone that you wish to view this report. And as per their choice, they can either view it on Power BI service or even on the Power BI mobile application as well. So I hope you guys have got a simple understanding as to the flow of Power BI. Great. So let's now begin exploring Power BI by installing Power BI on our systems. Now for that, let me just open my browser here. Just go to Google. Okay, so once you've opened Google, then I'd recommend that you search for Power BI. On the first page itself, you find the option to download it. So just click on download and that will redirect you to the download page. Now here you have different options present here. So you have Microsoft Power BI desktop download option here, you have Microsoft Power BI mobile download, you have on-premise data gateway and Microsoft Power BI publisher for Excel. Now for today's session, I recommend that you download just the Microsoft Power BI desktop option. Now Just click on download and automatically it'll redirect you for the download page. So here you can see the download option has already come in. I have already installed and configured Power BI on my system, so I'm not going to redo this, but you can go ahead and click on save file option and then run the installer. Now it's a very simple process. All you need to do is just keep clicking on next, 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 and then you're done with it. So go ahead and install Power BI on your system, and I'll be here to assist you in case you face any challenges. Okay, so now that you've installed Power BI on your system, there's one last thing that I want you to do on the Microsoft Power BI page is just that click on sign up for free option. Now the purpose of doing this is to help you gain access to the Power BI services as well. So here just click on download free option, and here you also get the option to download Power BI again. For now click on cancel and just provide the details present here. Once you've done that, a verification code would be sent to your account, and then you can go on to activate your account as well. So just follow this step as well, and then I'll be showing you how to work with Power BI. Okay, so once you launch Power BI, this is the view that you would be seeing. Now for those of you who have created your account, you have an option to sign in. Now I've already signed in, so my account is available here. So please make sure before you sign in here, you've activated your account and then you've launched your Power BI. Now, for those of you who are looking for a simple introduction to Power BI, you can check out some of these videos that will give you a good fundamental understanding with respect to Power BI. And this is your Power BI desktop tool, which makes it quite easy for you to work with your reports. Okay, so for now what we'll be doing is we'll be importing a new source. So for that, just click on Get Data option here. So here you can find all the possible input data sources. Now, as we have mentioned, there are a lot of connection APIs that are present in Power BI which help you integrate your data from different sources. Okay, for now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to import it from an Excel file, click on connect, and then it'll ask you the location. So I'm going to load the sample store data set, so double click on that. Now there are 3 sheets in my Excel file, so I just want the order sheet. So if you just select that, you get the complete sheet present here. So this has various columns. Now we'll be seeing each one of them. For now, just click on load, and I want you to pay your attention to the field side to your rightmost corner. While once the data is loaded, just check the changes here. Okay, so can you see here all the columns have been added here? All the columns that are present in your table inside the worksheet are present here. Okay, so I have already shared the sheet with you all. So please go ahead and load the worksheet. Alright, now there are mainly 3 workspaces present in Power BI. By default, you are always in the report workspace when you open the Power BI. Okay, now this is the workspace where you will be creating your various reports. Now coming down to the second workspace is your data workspace. Here you can see the complete data present in your data source. Now you can see all the columns present here as well as the data that is present inside them. Now I have 9,994 rows, and I can see almost all of them present here. So you have the row ID, the order date, ship mode, customer ID, customer name, the segment from which they belong to, which country they are in, which city, state, then their postal code, region, product ID, category, subcategory, and all those corresponding details needed. Okay, so this is my data set. Now let's say you want to make any modifications with respect to your data. Then what you can do is go to Edit Queries option present here. Once you click on that, the query editor opens up automatically. Now let's say you want to change the data type of a single column. In that case, what you can do is, so you can just right click and then you have the option of change type. So it's by default considered to be whole number. Let's say you want to change it to any one of these, you can do that as well. But again, keep in mind that there should not be any conflict with respect to that, say. Now, as in your Excel itself, if you want to find all the possible values or you want to filter out your data, then you can just click on this down arrow button here and you can find all the corresponding values that are taken up in this column. Now by default only 1000 values have been assumed here, but you can see the complete view, you can see the complete list if you want to. Again, if you want to sort the column correspondingly, you can do that as well here. Now for those of you who have worked with Excel, all these options are present in separate ribbons, but here it's all available in the query editor workspace. Okay, any doubts still here? Now another thing is any operation that you perform on your data can be reflected in the applied step. So sometimes what happens is when you load your data and when you view it in Power BI, there's slight difference because Power BI in itself performs a lot of operations to optimize this data as well. Now if you want to see the steps, now this is how your source data would look like. Okay, then comes your navigation option, and then comes promoted headers, where it has modified the headers and it's also changed the data types as per Power BI. Now again, if you actually look here, there's not much difference that is happening here. Okay, it's a very minute difference if you see, but again, Power BI has optimized your data to meet the best requirements as well. Now to give you just a simple example, let's look at the previous step. So here if you actually see, row ID is actually a varchar option, which is then again getting transformed to a numeric value here. Okay, so this is all internally done by Power BI, and it's something that is done to optimize it as well. Now again, let's say if you want to remove any rows or columns, that can be done as well. Apart from that, if you want to enter any data, that can be done as such. Okay, now if you want to split a column as per certain conditions, you can do that as well by a specific values or any operations that you want to do. Okay, so for now let me just close this and let's come back here. Again, we've seen the data workspace. Now let's go back to the last workspace, that is the relational workspace. Now here you would have all the tables that you're working with present. Now since I'm working with a single file, there's no relationship present here, but let's say you are working with multiple tables from a database, you're loading most of them together. Then what Power BI does is it identifies the relationship present between these tables and establishes a connection as well. So I hope you guys have got a simple overview of how Power BI Desktop looks like and the three workspaces as well. Okay, so I have got a confirmation from everyone. So let's begin by creating a new visual itself. Okay, so the first visual, what I'll do is, let's say I'll bring in the sales number here. So any column can be dragged and dropped directly, and a corresponding visual would get created. So now you can see a visual is going to be created for the sales number, and you have a lot of visual options present here. Okay, now this is a clustered column chart here where you have the total sale. Now let's say you just want it in terms of a number, then you can make it as a card option where you have the total sale value. So if you want to modify this value here, you just have the format option here. Now let's say this is a sales number. Now I don't want it in this format. To change this, just go to the format option present here. Okay, once you click on that, just go to data labels, and here you can change the values. Now this is basically represented in millions. Now if you want to get the actual value, just click on none. So this is the complete value of your overall sales. Now again, let's say if you want to modify this as well. Okay, now by default it has taken the sum, but let's say I want the count, the distinct number of sales. So this is my total number of sales. Okay, I've just copied pasted here. Now with this, what I'll do is I'll just change this again, and here I'll just take my average number of sales. Okay, apart from that, I'll just add one more, which is going to have my sum of my overall sales. Okay, so these are three different representation of the same sales data. Now apart from this, let's say I want to understand the states to which I'm delivering my product. So state basically is a geographical data. So what I need to do is just drag it and drop it here, and automatically you can see a map visual has been created. So you can see here a map visual has been selected. Okay, now let me just enlarge this. So these are the different states that have been selected. Okay, and as you can see, all of them are in United States. Now to this, what I want to do is I want to calculate the number of sales coming in. So I just drag it and drop it, and you get the details of the sales from each of the states. Now you can see from California, there's almost 450,000 sales that are coming in. Okay, now Washington gives me only about 13,000 sales as well. So you can see the size varying with respect to the total number of sales that is happening. So have you guys got a simple idea of how the map visual works? Okay, you can zoom in and zoom out as per your requirement. Now let's say I want to modify this even a little more. So I'll just zoom out a bit. So now what I'll do is I'll drag in categories as well and drop it to my workspace. So here you can see by default a table visual has been created, but I don't want it in a table format. So what I want it is in a free map format. Now I'll show you why I want it in free map format. So I'm going to drag categories from here and add it to values as well. So here what it does, it counts the number of categories, and then it has created in a free map format. Now you have 6026 office supplies, you have 2021 furniture, and you have 1847 technologies. Okay, now as I had mentioned earlier, Power BI creates highly interactive dashboards. So here let's just check the number of sales in California. So here you can see it's somewhere close to 457,000. Now if I just select office supplies, and let's see the variation in number. So here you can see it has dropped down to 142,000 sales. So again, when you're selecting a specific value, you can see the corresponding changes also happening. If I unselect here, you can see the change in value up as well. Now again, same time, let's look at furniture. So the change here again has been, with respect to California, is somewhere about 156,000. So again, you can see when I'm selecting a specific category, the variation keeps happening. Now let's try to publish this report. To publish it, just click on publish option and then it'll ask you if you want to save your changes. So let's save it on our system first and let me call it my first report. So just save it and then it has been saved on your system. Now what it is doing is that it is going to publish this report onto my Power BI service. Okay, and I'll show you how to view this on your Power BI service as well. Okay, so as you can see, we've successfully published our report to Power BI. Now, just a thing before we go ahead, I've quickly added another sheet. So these are just two other visuals that I have added. Now, what we'll be seeing is we'll be seeing how to create a dashboard from these reports as well. So to do that, let's quickly open our Power BI service on our browser. Okay, so here we have our Power BI server. Okay, so now this is the first report that we have created just now. Okay, so let me just refresh this. So here you can see the first page is present as well as the second page as well. Now, anytime you want to edit a report as well, you can do that on your Power BI service. Just click on edit report and then you can edit it here as well. Okay, apart from this, let's say you want to view it according to your requirement, you can change it. Now, even if you want to save it as a format as well, you can save the report, you can save the copy of it, that is making duplicate of it. You can even export it to PowerPoint as well as download a report. Now what we'll be doing is I'll just show you how you can create a dashboard. Now let me just close this. Now before we go ahead and create a dashboard, first thing what you need to understand is that in a report, these are basically referred to as a tile. So what we need to do is that we need to pin these tiles or visuals to our report. So just click on pin visual and it'll ask you whether you want to pin it to an existing dashboard or a new dashboard. Now since we don't have a dashboard at present, let me call it my first dashboard. And let me just pin it to that. So for now, let me just pin everything that I have to the dashboard. So here what I've done is that I've pinned the visuals from a single report to my dashboard. But let me also pin the visuals that are present in my second report as well to my dashboard. Now what are these basically? These are basically the sales by the different category per region. So how much sale has happened in a specific category across different regions. So you have technology, furniture and office supplies as the main category, and you have the four regions, that is Central, East, South and West. Now I'll just pin these two visuals as well to my first dashboard. Okay, the second visual basically is a count of the orders from the different subcategories. Now this will give you a little more broader idea as to how much order has come from each of the sub departments as well. Now let's just go to our dashboard. Now to go to your dashboard, to your left you can find this menu tab here, and if you click on my workspace, you can find four major categories here: dashboards, reports, workbooks and datasets. Now for now, don't worry about what datasets and workbooks are. You can just see the report. So my first report is present, which we are working on, and my dashboard is present, my first dashboard. So click on that. Now here you have the complete dashboard present. Okay, so this is what a dashboard would look like with respect to all the visuals that you have included. Now if you want to change the size of any visual here, then you can do that as well. Just drag it a bit and it will get adjusted by its own. Okay, now what I want is that I want my sales number to be bought here as well. Okay, and let me just move all this and organize it a little more. So let's try bringing the sales number at the topmost. So what we'll be doing is I'll make the sales number the major header. Let me bring the average sales down. So this way it seems a bit more organized as well. Now let's say if you want more details with respect to any specific visual, then what you can do is you can just click on that. So this will highlight the specific visual as well. Now one of the key features here is that you can click on get insights to get a relative insights. Now minimum number of values that has come from a category is 68. The maximum is 1523. Okay. Apart from that, we've had an overall of 994 sales as well. Now here when you're just hovering on max value, you can see a corresponding visual is also getting created, and there are various insights that gets created accordingly. Okay, now this is something that gets created automatically based on the data set that you're using as well. So this is a very important aspect of the Power BI dashboard as well. Okay, now let's say you want to share this dashboard to someone. So just click on share and you get this option to share it. But currently I'm not using the Pro version, so you can use it once you have the Pro version available. Alright, the final thing that I want to show you is ask a question about your data. Now this is basically Power BI's key feature. Now let's say which state has most orders. Okay, so this basically tells me which state has ordered the most. Okay, now let's say you want to filter this even better by a specific value, then you can select that as well. Now let's say by country. Okay, now by default it is all United States based data, so it wouldn't matter much here, but let's say by order date. So this data can be even modified further as per your requirements by specifying further categories. You've just written a simple statement here, which state has most orders, and automatically Power BI has validated all that data and even given us the output in form of a visual as well. So basically we know that California has the most orders and second comes New York. Okay, and if you want the numbers, you can just hover over them to get a better insights. Alright, let's go back, and this is your final dashboard as well. So with this, I hope you guys have got a clear-cut understanding as to how to work with the Power BI desktop, where we saw how you can load the data from different sources, how you can create different kinds of visuals, how you can bring them together in a single report, and then after that we went to Power BI service, where we also created a new dashboard as well. So any doubts with respect to this aspect? Okay, so I seem to have got a confirmation from everyone, so let me go back to my Power BI desktop and show you one last thing. Now we've talked about how to work with respect to the report workspace, and you've also seen how the data workspace looks like. Now anything that you want to perform can be done here. Now let's say you want to modify any data present here as well. Just click on edit queries. And here you can perform your transformation, you can add a new column, you can even add a new measure, you can group your data, split your column, and even you can go on to create new views as well. So now let's go back to the final workspace, that is the relationship workspace. So let me show you how to create and manage relationships here. Now this is something that is quite important while you're working with multiple data sets and your data is linked across. So what we'll do is, let me just load in two more tables that will give you a better idea on how to set and manage relations in Power BI. So let me just load the data. Just click on get data, and I'm going to load the customer details, as well as let me load the transaction details. Now sometimes what happens is Power BI automatically detects a relationship between the tables and it creates it. But let's say there's no relationship that is detected and there is a relationship present, then you can manually create it. Now if you see here, there is a relationship between the customer ID from customer table and the customer ID present in the transaction table. Now it gets highlighted when I hover over the relationship. So it's basically a one-to-many relationship happening here. Okay, now if you double click on the center arrow here, then you get a pop-up that shows the details of the relationship. Okay, now let me show you how to create a relationship in case it's not present. Now I need to link the customer ID from my orders table to the customer ID present in my customer table. I can either manually drag this column and drop it to create a relationship. Okay, or let me just delete this and show you how to create it manually. Okay, just go to manage relationships. So here there's already one relationship that is present. Now just click on new, and here you can select the tables and their relationships. So let me first select the orders table that is going to be related to my customer table. Okay, so here just select the customer ID to my customer ID and click on OK. So you can see here a relationship has been formed, and when you come back to your relationship workspace, you can see the relationship is also mapped. So in case when you're using multiple tables as part of your visual, in those cases it becomes more processed and well defined. Okay, so are you guys clear with respect to how the Power BI works and how you can create and manage relationships as well? Any doubts with respect to what we have done as part of our practicals? From importing our data set to creating our first report, then we moved on to create our first dashboard, and we've tried to work with relationships as well. Any doubts still here? Okay, that's great. Okay, so now that you've tried out the different visuals in Power BI, let's try to look at the trends for Power BI. Now, talking about the job openings for Power BI, ever since its popularity in the late 2015s, okay, Power BI has rapidly been growing. Now, this number is close to 3%, but you need to understand this is 3% of overall number of jobs in the market. So when we see 3% of that is Power BI, then it's a huge number, and it's growing, as you can see from the graph as well. Now, apart from that, when you talk about salary trends, although it's not on the higher note, definitely Power BI is one of the good technologies that you can carry around as well. Especially if you're someone who works a lot on reports and various visuals, Power BI definitely will help you out on the same. Now, to summarize what we have learned in this session, we started off by talking about why Power BI is better than other data visualization tools. We talked about the key benefits of Power BI. We understood what is Power BI and who uses Power BI. From there, we also understood the flow of work of Power BI. We saw a demo on Power BI where you all created your first report on Power BI desktop and then gone on to publish it as well. Finally, we saw the trends of Power BI. So any doubts with respect to today's session? Okay, since all of you are clear with respect to the same, I hope you guys have great learning experience and have a happy weekend. Thank you and goodbye.
I hope you enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply to them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to our Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!